Okay, in today's video we're just going to look at setting the clock on Lumix cameras, and specifically today we're using the Panasonic GH6. And this might sound like a really simple thing, but there are some parts of it that can really catch you out, so it's worth knowing this. And basically when you set your camera up, you'll set the clock up, and we'll jump into the camera and we'll take a quick look at that. Let me just lock focus on the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And if we jump into the camera and we want the wrench or spanner, and then the wrench or spanner with 3 dots underneath it, and that's our clock set menu. So if we jump into this, generally what I'd do is when I set the camera up, I'd use, so I'm in the UK, so we go by basically like Big Ben time is pretty much like a standard time here, so the time on Big Ben. So I would check that, and then I'd set that into the camera, and you can do that to, you know, roughly like the second or two, you can get pretty close. So I'd just go through and I'd do that manually, and then you've also got this option here for style, and it's generally set by region. So in the UK we use day, month, year. In other places, you know, you use in month, day, year. So it's you can set that up how you want it, and you can have a 24-hour clock or AM, PM. I just have 24 hours, day, month, year. And again, like I say, that's generally a regional thing that you'll probably be happy with in the camera by default. And then the other thing we've got is the time zone. So the issue that you tend to have on these cameras, or I tend to have on these cameras, because I live in a country that has daylight savings time, what you'll find is when daylight savings time changes, your camera doesn't. So your phone, your tablet, your computer, everything does change because it's set to a network that is picking up the latest time, whereas your camera isn't. So there's a couple of ways we can kind of get around it, and one of them is the manual way. So we come into the camera into time zone, which if you didn't see that, it's just under clock set. So same menu, just underneath it. There is an option in here where you can click on this bit down here. You can see I'm set into daylight savings time at the moment, but you can click that off, and then you can see, if we click it back on again, we're at 10:18. That's the time now, 18 minutes past 10. Click daylight savings, and then it goes back to 9:18. Click it on again, 10:18. It's basically just a really quick way just to jump an hour, set it, go back. And the only issue is that if you've set your clock, you know, if you don't set that in daylight savings time, all of the timestamps in your footage is wrong. So if you're shooting across multiple cameras, or you do multiple jobs in a day and you need the timestamps to work with, you're going to be having to basically deduct an hour or add an hour depending on, you know, what's happened. But it's just something you need to think about. But there's actually a really nice way to kind of accurately set the time on the camera. So what you can do is, you can probably just about see in the background here, I've got my phone set up on Lumix Sync, and if you don't know how to use that, there's a link up in the corner. You should really get it set up. There's tons of really good features in Lumix Sync. It's like, you know, it adds a load of value to the camera. So get that set up, and what you can do is just connect over Bluetooth, which in that video, you know, it shows you how to do all the connections and everything. And what you can do is just come back into here and jump into the Bluetooth menu. Oh, actually what we'll do is, just so I can show you it working, so let's say it's 10:20 now. We set the clock a bit wrong, so we set it to 12:25. It should be 10:20, so you know, we know that the clock is incorrect. So then we jump into the Bluetooth menu, so it's under the wrench or spanner, and then the little square with the kind of Wi-Fi symbol coming out of it. One of the options we've got here when we're connected to Lumix Sync is the auto clock set, and what we can do is just switch that off, and if we switch it on again and then we come back to our clock, you can see our clock is set to pretty much perfect time, so 10:20, 47 seconds, so on. So it's a really easy way to get, you know, what Panasonic deems to be the accurate time from the app, and that can be really useful, like I say, going across multiple cameras, or if you feel like the time is just slightly out on the camera, it's like a really nice accurate way to do it. You're not having to try and like get it to the second across cameras type thing. And this does actually work. So I'm using Lumix Sync because this is GH6. GH5 uses the Panasonic, I think it's called the Image app, Panasonic Image app. They have a similar thing on there. So, you know, you can set it up across the across the different apps, and it will pretty much kind of like nail the time between the cameras. So that's really useful. And like I say, just it's one of those things where it seems so simple, but you can get caught out like quite easily with it. So just bear that in mind. And yeah, hopefully, you know, if you found that helpful, please give the video a like. If you want to see more content on the Panasonic GH6 or Lumix cameras in general, check out the playlist on this channel, and please subscribe.